After Steve Jobs and Tim Cook, the most recognizable face at Apple is probably this one. Jonathan Ive, Apple's chief designer and the man behind products like the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, and recently iOS 7, Apple's latest mobile operating system. Ive doesn't strut around on stage like a lot of other Apple executives. He's usually seen only in videos, and he very rarely gives interviews. Except recently, he gave one to me. And being that he is probably the greatest industrial designer of his generation, I wanted to share some of his comments with you. The discoveries you make when you are lucky enough to sit next to somebody who represents a completely different expertise, those discoveries can be really profound. Apple's not a terribly siloed organization. Sure, it has different buildings, but people tend to work in ad hoc groups. Ive, for example, sits only 1 minute away from Craig Federighi, Apple's chief of software. And oftentimes, the distinctions between the two teams are known only by HR. I think we feel our job is to try to solve tough, difficult problems, but we don't make the complexity of the problem apparent in its resolution. Ive's philosophy is not show your work. The things his team works on can be wickedly complex. Take these animations in iOS 7, for example. But to the end user, they have to be dead simple. We feel that we've done our job when you finally get to that point and you think, well, there couldn't be a rational alternative. It appears inevitable. It almost appears like it wasn't designed. Ive here echoes the principles of fellow industrial designer Dieter Rams, who designed products for Braun in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Good design, said Rams, is as little design as possible.